And it's time for the 2018 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. This year's event has been elevated to a national tour event. The 2018 PDGA World Champion Greg Barsby is on the course. Today is day 2 of this event, and to see who will end up on top after round 2, stay tuned as Disc Golf Monthly starts now. Thanks for joining us for this month's edition of Disc Golf Monthly, as we cover round 2 footage of the Men's Pro Open at the 2018 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge in Newark, Delaware at the Iron Hill Disc Golf Course. With this year's event being featured on the PDGA National Tour, the excitement level is much higher than previous years. Many touring pros playing today are just finishing up the prior week competing in the 2018 PDGA Pro Worlds. We have the results of who we'll be covering on the lead card of the Men's Pro Open, so let's check them out. In first place, we have Paul McBeth from Huntington Beach, California, shooting a 61. In second place, we have Paul Ulibarri shooting a 63 from Sholo, Arizona. Tied for second place, shooting a 63, is Seppo Payu from Litolin, Finland. And also tied for third place in a 3-way tie, it's Matt Bell from Grass Valley, California, also shooting at 63. Well, that's an exciting group we have on the lead card. Matt Bell and Paul Ulibarri have played this tournament in years gone by, but Seppo Payu and Paul McBeth are new to this course. That's not stopping Paul McBeth from dominating, as he finished the first round just 2 strokes from tying the course record of a 59 set by Paul Ulibarri. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll be at the start of round 2, so don't go away, we'll be right back. And welcome back to second round coverage from the 2018 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge, a national tour event. We have Paul McBeth ahead with a 61. And it's starting off, we're going to be on basket 1. This is a par 4, 605 feet. We have Paul McBeth teeing off first. And this is a shot where you have to start out, as you can see, relatively straight. The fairway bends off to the right, takes a right turn. You're looking to throw a turnover shot with a backhand, as you just saw Paul McBeth throw. Or if you're going with a sidearm shot, just throw one that has a little bit of turn, get you down the fairway, get you close so you can lay up and get your 3.
All the way.
Looks like Paul McBeth and Paul Ulibarri both managed to come up with very successful drives. Here's Seppo Payu with his drive. He gets some nice turn on that, and he's getting some great fade with that turnover shot. We have Matt Bell here rounding out the group. So Paul, Seppo, and Matt are currently tied with a 63. Here's Paul with his second shot. Came up a little short, and he turned over into the rough there just before the rough. He's throwing another turnover shot with a backhand to get out of that. Got a tomahawk shot to get out of that.
There you go.
Looks like that got him out. That rolled around a little bit. Here's our leader, Paul McBeth. He's also in the rough on the left-hand side of the fairway. Looks like that got him out. Looks like everybody's in the rough here. Here's Matt, the longest drive of the group. Paul with his third shot. It's on the edge of the rough here. Throw another turnover shot. He's just going to lay up and get his par. And that, with an amazing putt, gets his first birdie of the round with that, a birdie 3. Here's Paul trying to save par. And he makes it. All right, so we have Seppo Paiu with a birdie, and also Matt Bell scoring a birdie. Not a bad start for the group. 2 birdies and a par. We're moving on to basket 2. This is a par 3, 380 feet. So this is going to be the first of 2 par, one of only 2 par 3s on the front 9. Seppo just got caught up there in an early tree. So when you're looking to get a nice hyzer shot, it's a very tight fairway. You're just looking to get it for a right-handed thrower, a hyzer shot, which is just going to have enough turn. It's going to get you the distance you need and just lay up to the basket. Nobody's done that thus far. Paul goes with a sidearm shot. He turns that over and gets it to roll at the end. Looks like that's going to work for him. That's going to put him in putting range to get his par. Here's Paul. He's going with a sidearm shot. He's going to turn that over, get through that gap. He's going to kick off a tree. That may have saved him from going too far. Here's Seppo. Turns over a sidearm shot. And with the right amount of fade, that'll get him really close to the basket. Have a good look at a 3 there. There's Matt. Right, goes with a jump putt. Really tried to make that work, and he got some metal off that. That would have been back-to-back fantastic birdies for Matt. Fortunately, he came a little short there. Here's Paul Ulibarri with his putt for par, and he makes it. Seppo. He just comes up short. So he's going to have to settle for a birdie with that. He's going to end up tied with Matt at a 69. And Paul saves par with that putt. It was a very tricky hole to basket 2. So no birdies on this hole, and 1 bogey with Seppo Paiu, and we're moving on to basket 3. This is a par 4, 600 feet, 660 feet, excuse me. And here's Matt Bell. He has the box now, and he had that great reach back. He goes with a air shot with a backhand. Gets a nice turn off that. With a good skip that should put him really good in contention to be able to lay up and get a birdie 3. Here's Paul with his drive. He also looks like he's going with a backhand. And he does. He keeps that really low. And here's Paul Ulibarri. Three great drives so far. We have Seppo Paiu. Like he almost got a little too much turn on that, but he made it through that rough. He came out. It's Paul Ulibarri. He's going for the second shot. furthest out in the group. Goes with a low sidearm shot. He just kicks off that tree a little too early. It was a tough shot. That shot really didn't give much opportunity for turn to really get to the basket. Here's Matt Bell. He turns that around. That may go a little too far. He may have to putt back up. There's some slight elevation beyond the basket. He might have to putt uphill to get it straight. Here's Paul. Chapo with the longest drive out of the group. Here's Paul Macbeth, our leader, putting back to the basket. Gets that up in the air long enough. It just hits the top change and drops in. That's Paul's first birdie of the round. Matt going for his second birdie of the round. He goes with a straddle putt and drops it right in. So we have 3 birdies. Paul, Macbeth, Matt, and Seppo. We're moving on to basket 4. This is a par 4, 675 feet. This is very similar to the last shot. It starts out very open. Fairway winds around to the right. And when it goes around to the right, it gets a little more distance on this one. 15 feet longer than the last one. Not too much different, but this is a very tricky shot. There's some OP as you get to the basket with the roadway that's beyond the pen. There's a turnover shot with a backhand that perfectly threaded that. There's Seppo right behind him. So everyone's going with air shots here. There's Matt. There's 1 stroke behind Paul Macbeth. Just gets knocked down by an early tree there as he made his way down that fairway. Here's Seppo. Limited second shot. And that was a fantastic. He really set himself up for a really great birdie attempt with that. Shouldn't have too much trouble getting the birdie after that. Fantastic second shot. Here's Paul Ulibarri with his second shot. He just clears through. Our leader, Paul Macbeth, the longest drive out of the group. He just lays up, goes a little bit beyond the basket, but he shouldn't have too much trouble getting his birdie. Here's Matt Bell. So at this point, Seppo's in contention here. It's got a very long putt, but he could tie Matt with if he makes this.
Yep.
And he goes for a jump putt and he makes it. So now Seppo and Matt are going to be tied with a 76. Paul makes his second birdie of the round. He's going to maintain a 2-stroke advantage over both Seppo and Matt. There you have it. Paul Macbeth, Seppo, and Paul Ulibarri all make birdies. As we move on to our first par 5 of the front 9, this is basket 5, par 5, 690 feet. This is a very challenging hole. The fairway winds, snakes its way up to an elevated, a slight mound where the basket sits on top of.
Okay.
Paul gets through most of it. He may be off the fairway a little bit. We'll have to see where he landed. Here's Seppo with his drive. Gets a nice turn on that. Still, he's relatively straight. Looks like he'll still be on the fairway. Depending upon how far up the fairway you get, will dictate whether or not you'll stay on the fairway. Here's Paul Ulibarri with his drive. He gets a nice turn on that. And looks like it's a low enough shot. He should be on the fairway with that after that drive. There's Matt Bell leading out the group. And with that powerful reach back, he gets a lot of turn. Looks like he kicked off a tree. Matt's furthest out of the 4 drives. He goes with a turnover sidearm shot. It's going to fade. Not going to get enough distance for him. It fades and lands right around that grouping of trees. Here's Paul. It looks like he's going to go with a forearm roller here. And he does to get out of that. Looks like that got him up nicely. Seppo's looking to do the same thing. Go with a forearm roller to get out of this. Looked like he went with a more of an air shot. But that gets him up the fairway. Here's Paul. Going with a sidearm shot. He strikes off a tree early. Matt landed in pretty good shape. He manages to get through those trees. And a nice fade. A very nice look from there at the basket. He'll be putting. He looks like he'll have his good shot of putting from there. There's Paul Ulibarri. And he's also up on the green. Paul McBeth, our leader, with his 3rd shot. We'll have a good look at a birdie from there. And he just could not convert. That putt was a little too high. And that converts for a birdie. That's his 3rd birdie in the round. As Seppo and Paul McBeth also get birdies. That's Seppo's 4th and Paul's 3rd birdie in the round. Paul hangs on to that 2 advantage as we move on to basket 6. This is a par 4, 625 feet. So this is a shot you got to keep it straight. You got to clear that gap of trees that you see ahead of there. And you just got to look for a shot that's going to hyzer out when you get through that gap. And Paul does that perfectly. With a good skip, he should have a clear shot at laying up and getting a birdie. And here's Seppo Payu with his drive. And he just narrowly misses that trees off to the left. And with a good skip, he gets way up the fairway. Here's Matt Bell with his 1st shot. That powerful reach back again. And he just kicks off the branch early. Bell looks like he's going to go with a sidearm shot to get out of this. He's going to try to get a little bit of turn on that and get it to fade right to the basket. Looks like that, and that worked for him very nicely. Have a good look from there. Good comeback. Here's Paul McBeth, our leader, with his 2nd shot, going with a sidearm shot. It's going to hyzer right on in there, as you can see. Have a good look at a birdie from there. And Paul's 2nd shot. Looks like that hyzer out a little too soon. Didn't give him enough turn. Here's Seppo Payu with his 2nd shot. Furthest drive out of the group. And that just did not fade back at the end. Matt's got a long shot at a birdie attempt here. It looks like he's going to make a run at it, and he just doesn't get in the air long enough. Paul's got to putt back to the basket. Looks faded too far away. He should make this. Just does not hit the chains hard enough. It bounces out.
You go ahead if you want.
With that, Seppo gets that birdie for his 5th birdie of the round. So he's on sole possession of 2nd place now. Still 2 strokes behind Paul McBeth. As we move on the back to 7, this is a par 3, 370 feet. This is our 2nd par 3 basket on the front 9. As you can see, it's a downhill shot. This is very tricky. This hole's very tricky. You must keep this as straight as possible if you're going to throw the sidearm, and then just have the right amount of fade at the end. Unless you can sneak through there like Paul just did. Yeah, Matt Bell with his drive. He looks like he's going with a backhand here. He's going to try to turn this over. Actually, he's going to try to go up the gut there. It's very sneaky approach. There's Paul Ulibarri with his drive. Going with a sidearm. And he just misses everything. He's going to skip right to the basket with that. That's going to an overhand shot. Gets caught up in some foliage. Gets knocked down early. Paul floats a backhand turnover shot to get closer to the basket. And with his 3rd shot, he saves par. That was an amazing shot for our leader, Paul McBeth. Saves par with that. And Matt Bell also saves par. Here's Seppo going for his 6th birdie. And it'd be 1 stroke behind Paul McBeth. And he makes it. So now we have a 1 stroke difference between Paul and Seppo, with Seppo getting that birdie. And we're moving on to basket 8. This is a par 5, 670 feet. This is our 2nd par 5 hole on the front 9. This is an uphill shot, as you can see, where the fairway is going to wind over to the right. You have to get as much height off this as you can, and distance, and keep it as straight as possible. He gets a lot of turn on that, but it got a fair amount of fade at the end. He might have traveled off into the rough on the left side of the fairway with that drive. Here's Paul McBeth with his drive. It just looked like a turnover a little bit to him, but it gave him a lucky kick out into the middle of the fairway. There's Matt Bell with his drive.
Get it?
He got that nice.
Yeah!
Just cleared the hill. There's Paul McBeth going with a sidearm. It's going to be an interesting par 5 how they finish here, with Seppo just being Paul McBeth by 1 stroke at this point. Here's Seppo. He's on his 2nd shot. So Paul McBeth already threw his 2nd shot. We're not sure how far he got up the fairway, but he's got some really great contention to possibly get a birdie here. Really puts the pressure on Paul McBeth. You see Paul Ulibarri with his approach. He's got an open shot. The basket's just right out there in front of him. He just flicks. Turnover shot. It's going to fade right to the basket for him. It's going to be right at the base of that. Oh, Paul McBeth, unfortunately, too much turn on that approach shot. He gets knocked down early. This is going to be very difficult for him to hold on to sole possession of first place. It's going to be a long putt. And mind you, Seppo for his 4 shots, the edge of the basket. And he kicks off another tree, unfortunately. So it looks as though we're going to have a tie for first place here at the end of this. There you see Seppo. He records his 6th birdie of the round. As we now have a tie for first place between Paul and Seppo. We're moving on to basket 9. This is a par 4, 555 feet. This is a shot that, as you can see, takes a slightly winding approach. The fairway is going to take a dogleg off to the right, or I'm sorry, a slight bend off to the right. That looks like he had some really great turn going on with that shot, but it just kicked off a tree off to the right, unfortunately. I was trying to get back into this. It looks like that's the way to do it. That was a very straight shot. That was the perfect shot out of the group. Stayed on the fairway the whole entire time. Here's Paul Littleberry playing out of the rough. He's going with a roller shot.
Get around.
Looks like that's working for him. And here's Seppo. Seppo's right there on the middle of the fairway. Looks like that turned a little too early for him. We'll have to see if that gave him some fade at the end. When it got him close to the basket, he can get his 3. You see Matt got caught up in some playing out from a tree right up behind his lie here. And he just doesn't get good footing. Paul, the longest shot in the group, goes right over those group of trees. Seppo playing out of the rough. Looks like that'll get him right up to the basket. He can get his 4. It's been a tough hole for the entire group. This is our only possibility of having a birdie at this point, with Paul McBeth playing back to the basket. And it just doesn't stay in the air long enough. Bounces off the top part of the cage. Seppo better make this, and he does, so he can hold onto that tie with first place with Paul McBeth. Paul has a very easy putt for a 4 where we can maintain this tie. So at this point, we have no change with the group. We have Seppo and Paul tied at a 93. 2 strokes back is Matt Bell with a 95, and 1 stroke behind Matt is Paul Littleberry with a 96. As we move on to basket 10, this is a par 5, 675 feet. So this is where the course gets really tough. I mean, 2 holes ago you had another par 5, you had a par 4 on 9. Now you're going back into another par 5. This is where fatigue really gets to you here. And this is a shot where the fairway winds around to a right. You really want to start off with a placement shot here. You don't so much want to go for distance because the fairway is rounding around to the, taking a left wind. Paul does something very creative with that turnover flick shot. Matt going with the prescribed route with a hyzer shot with a backhand. There's Paul McBeth. It's just enough turn off that. Looks like they've got some decent amount of distance as well. Seppo's playing out of a little bit of trouble here with his second shot. Get that tree right in his way.
Yeah. Straight up.
There's a very nice backhand shot. Turns it over nicely. There's Matt Bell. He goes for a wide hyzer shot. And it looks like that's going to stay in the middle of the fairway for him. That's a good thing. And here's Paul McBeth. He goes straight out through that opening. But he kicked off a little branch as he was making his way out. Cut him down, lost a little bit of distance with that. There's Paul Ulibarri with his drive. Seppo's on his third shot. He's got to really get down there. He's really looking to get a good placement shot here, get him close to the basket, give himself a good look at a birdie 4, and that will work for him. Really puts the pressure on Paul McBeth. Matt Bell catches an early tree. And Paul McBeth looking. He's going to putt from there with that. It's a great approach shot for him. There's Matt going for par. And he just gets it a little too high in the air. Clanks off the top of the rim of the basket. Here's Paul going for birdie. And he floats that in the air perfectly and gets his 5th birdie of the round. And Seppo also gets a birdie. So we're remaining tied out of 97. Paul is now 3 strokes back from those two with 100. And Matt Bell is now behind Paul with a 101. We're moving back onto basket 11. It's a par 4, 600 feet. Seppo's drive. He gets a little too much turn on that. He may have gripped that, locked that a little bit. Kicked off that early tree. So with a great drive, this could be really a good thing for Paul McBeth. Here's Paul Ulibarri. He gets that straight down the middle. He threw that perfectly straight. Have a good look at an approach shot, which should give him an easy 3 from where he is right now. Here's Paul McBeth with his drive. And that drive was leaning towards that tree off to the right, but he avoided that. And that just glided right down the fairway. Paul McBeth can capitalize with that fantastic drive. He really needed that. Here's Matt Bell. Seppo with his second shot. Playing out of the rough. And he gets it right out there. Doesn't hit anything. We'll have to see if that'll put him close enough where he can get his 3 from where he is right now. And here's Matt Bell with his second shot. And Matt gets unlucky. It's one of those thin trees just up there. And here's Paul. He splits that gap perfectly. He's have a good look at a birdie from there. Here's Paul. At this point, he's just looking to lay up so he can get his birdie 3 and get that lead back to himself. He floats that out there. And that's right at the basket. So he should be inside the circle for a putt for a birdie. Seppo. Seppo gets down there. And that just misses out. It chains out. Here's Seppo trying to save par. And he gets it in there perfectly. So at this point, if Paul can make this putt, he'll be back in sole possession of first place, and he does. Paul recording his 6th birdie of the round. To be at 100. With Seppo right behind him with a 101. Paul going for his 5th birdie of the round. And he makes it for his 5th birdie of the round. Matt Bell has to settle for a bogey. So Paul McBeth got the lead back. He's in sole possession of first place with that 100. As we move on to basket 12, this is a par 4, 520 feet. This starts off with a relatively straight shot. The layout is rather flat. But as you get your way down the fairway is going to take a left turn, and it's going to be downhill. The basket's at a position on the, as you make your way down a hill. So it's a very dangerous approach shot here that the player's going to have to contend with. As they get down the fairway, they're going to have to be careful of rollaway shots. They're going to make it hard for them to get their, make their next putts. Paul Littleberry with his drive. He kept that perfectly straight. Matt Bell, he's got some rather heavy rough to play out of here. He goes with a turnover sidearm shot that just put it way high in the air. Sounds like that worked for him. Here's Paul. Puts a lot on that. See how far that gets him down the fairway. And Paul with his 2nd shot. And there you see the basket sticking out. Seppo with his 2nd shot. So at this point, it's coming down to who had the best placement shot between Paul and Seppo. Here's Paul going for birdie. And he makes the downhill putt for his 7th birdie of the round. Seppo has the answer to this, to stay behind him by that 1 stroke. There he is with a rather short putt. Paul definitely had the more challenging putt for birdie out of the two. As Paul McBeth maintains that 1-stroke lead with that long putt with the 7th birdie of the round. Seppo gets his 9th birdie of the round. We're moving on to basket 13. This is a par 3, 360 feet. So this is one of 2 par 3 holes on this back 9 with Paul with the lead here. And he paints that fairway well, but he just turns in a little too soon and kicks off that tree. Here's Seppo. And Seppo looks like he didn't hit a thing. He could be at the edge of the basket. Really could put the pressure on Paul with that unlucky kick. And Paul got kicked away from the basket. It's really putting the pressure on him. He's got to really make this putt. It just gets a little too high in the air. Doesn't make it. So this is an opportunity for Seppo Paiu to possibly tie this back up. And Seppo records an early, easy birdie, a drop in for that too. He ties it back up at 106 with that birdie. It's his 10th of the round. As we move on to basket 14, this is a par 3, 370 feet. And Seppo has the box. Gets a little too much turn off that. Doesn't look like he hit anything, so with the right amount of fade, he could be really in close contention to getting that birdie. Paul Ulibarri. And that just hyders out to the left of the basket. There's Matt with his drive. That gets unlucky and kicks off an early tree. Trying to play out of the rough here. Going with the sidearm, looks like he got knocked down again. At this point, he's just trying to lay up so he can get his bogey. Looks like that'll work for him. So Paul is a long, won't be able to putt from there. But he does lay up. He goes a little too far beyond the basket. And here's Seppo. Has to play back to the basket as birdie. He could be in sole possession of first place if he makes his putt. And he does. Seppo Paiu records his 11th birdie of the round. And Paul McBeth plays back to the basket to get his par. So he keeps it to a one-stroke difference. There you have it. Seppo's in sole possession of first place now by one stroke. As we move on to basket 15, this is a par 4, 440 feet. And Seppo is teeing off first. And Seppo gets unlucky. He kicks off a tree early. Here's Paul with his drive, Paul Ulibarri. He gets a very nice rip off that. Paul with the sidearm. Keeps that low. Looks like that tree just would have got a little extra distance with that skip, but that tree just knocked it down. Here's Matt Bell with his first drive.
Yeah, Matt.
Surprised nobody in the group went with the very wide hyzer shot off to the right, playing up a roadway. Nobody went with that shot this tournament. Seems like every year there's somebody who goes that route, but not this year. Here's Seppo throwing a sidearm shot. Looks like that worked for him. Didn't hear anything. Here's Paul with his second shot, also going with a sidearm. Looks like that gets him really close to where the basket is. And Matt Bell lays right up there. Okay, so we have at this point, continue to have a tie for first place between Paul and Seppo as we move on to basket 16. This is a par 4, 610 feet. Get off it. On that last hole, Paul Macbeth got the birdie, so we're tie again here between Seppo and Paul. Paul with his second shot. He's going over the turnover sidearm shot. He floats that perfectly. It'll get him right down to the basket with a little bit of fade at the end. Should have a very good look at a putt from there. Paul's looking to take that lead back. Seppo's playing out of the rough. He's going to have a really tough time here. Keeps him low. I'm not sure if that gave him enough distance or not. That goes with a jump putt, and it just clanks off the top of the rim. That was an amazing jump putt for Matt Bell. Paul Macbeth plays to the back of the basket. He makes it for a birdie. He's going to be in sole possession of first place now with his 9th birdie of the round. 115. Paul putts out. Paul Macbeth at a 115 with that one strike lead over Seppo. Paul making the only birdie out of the group. We only have 2 holes to go. This is par 17. This is our second par 5 hole on the back 9. It's 860 feet. So this is a fairway. It's relatively straight. It does bend off to the left a little bit. And then it's the main, you got to putt uphill. The basket is up on top of a mound, which players need to get up on so they can putt out and hopefully make par. This is one of the toughest holes in the course. This is the longest hole in the course at 860 feet. Again, it's the most challenging hole in the course. Here's Seppo with his second shot. He goes with a backhand turnover shot. Looks like he may have been trying to roll that. Looks like the gallery looks really happy with that shot. Here's Paul with a wide open shot. Keeps it low. He misses everything. And that gets him really good contention to get up on that top of that mound to get a birdie 4. With 2 holes to go, he really has to do what he's got to do to hold off Seppo. Here's Paul with his shot. It's really good to make it down the fairway.
Oh, yeah, man. Nice shot.
Get up, get up, get up.
Paul with that shot gets up over top of the stairs and right to the edge of the basket. Here's Seppo with his third shot. Just turns a little too soon for him, but he gets right to the edge of that hill. There's Paul. Paul gets right up there. Looks like Paul's going to be able to hold off Seppo, keep that 1-stroke lead. 1 hole to go. There we have it, same distance between Paul McBeth, Seppo, and Paul Ulibarri. As we move on to basket 18, last hole, par 4, 630 feet. This starts off at a straight shot, and as you make your way down the fairway, it goes off to your left. The basket is protected by a very large boulder.
Yeah.
Paul just missed everything.
Nice shot, Paul.
Got everything but a good fade at the end. There's Seppo right behind him. Let's see what he's got.
Oh, wow.
Looks like that really worked nicely for him. Seppo really has to look for a mistake with Paul McBeth to possibly end this round with a tie. That was a very strong drive from Paul McBeth, so it's looking very likely that Paul McBeth's going to walk away at the end of this round with a 1-stroke lead. That goes with a sky roller. Paul Ulibarri has a 5-stroke lead over Matt Bell. Paul McBeth with his second throw. Has a fair number of trees to contend with here. Just shoots that gap perfectly with that tree leaning over. It was a good skip to the basket, hell of a great look at a birdie putt from there. Here's Seppo with his second shot. Looks like that's going to fade out a little too soon. Might even not even have enough distance off that. There's Matt Bell with his third shot. There's Paul Ulibarri for birdie. Goes with a jump putt. This goes right in. Very strong finish, Paul, with his 8th birdie of the round. Seppo trying to make his birdie. Just does not stay in line with the basket long enough. Here's Paul McBeth looking to take a 2-stroke advantage over Seppo. Yeah. He gets out here perfectly. Goes right into the chains. He's going to finish with a 2-stroke lead over Seppo. Brilliant round for Paul McBeth. Seppo's going to finish with a 124. So there you have it. At the end of round 2, Paul McBeth has a 2-stroke lead over Seppo. And Paul Ulibarri finishes with a 127 and Matt Bell at a 134. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. What an exciting finish for Paul McBeth, shooting another 61 to finish the round, holding on to the same 2-stroke lead advantage that he had as he started the round with. Seppo Payo did his best to try to finish on top, tying for the lead late on the front 9 and midway through the back 9. Seppo took sole possession of first place by hole 14, but it only lasts 1 hole, as Paul McBeth took it right back and held on, getting a 2-stroke lead back with a fantastic putt to finish the round. Well, that's all the time we have for this month's show. Join us next month for more coverage of round 3 from the 2018 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. And thank you for watching Disc Golf Monthly, the show that takes you one step closer to the sport of disc golf.